Hello to my lovely listeners. Today I'm going to give you an extra big virtual hug for tuning in because with this 8th episode, season 2 of the Dr. Happy podcast powered by Juno Clinic comes to a close. And the subject for our last episode is perhaps very fittingly sleep. You know, like how we end our day with great hope for some repose. Just like that, our lovely, lovely second season ought to end on this vital yet sweet subject. Yes, I can stick my neck out on this one and say that at least when it comes to sleep, we are all the same. I mean, we may meet many different people in our lives, each with their own likes and dislikes, but the desire for a good night's sleep is common to all human beings. After all, we spend nearly 1/3 of our lives sleeping. Yeah, just like air, water, food, clothing, and shelter, sleep is a basic human need. Which is why today I'm going to share some important facts and definitions around sleep. So, sleep is the natural condition of rest when your eyes are closed and your mind and body are not active or conscious. We may feel like we are doing nothing or that nothing is happening when we are sleeping, but that's not so. Sleeping, like every other physiological process in the body, is an active process and is broadly divided into two categories. One is REM sleep, which stands for rapid eye movement sleep, and the other is non-REM sleep. So, REM sleep first occurs about 90 minutes after we fall asleep. As the name suggests, there is movement of the eyes which can be noticed even when the eyelids are closed. And the most interesting part of this phase is that most of our dreams occur in this time, but our limbs are sort of paralyzed, which prevents us from taking some action based on our dreams. The non-REM sleep is divided into 2 to 3 stages of progressively deep and deeper sleep. And this is when our heart and breathing rates and brain activity gradually reduce. And now if you're wondering why I'm giving you all these definitions and scientific yarn, is because it's important. It's very important to our well-being, and yet we are rarely taught about sleep in school or college, right? And because of this, we harbor many myths and misconceptions about it. We all crave for a good sleep because it makes us feel rested and refreshed. But you know what? Sleep has many more functions. When we are young, good sleep helps our bodies to grow, and as we attain adulthood, sleep is the time to repair the damage of daily wear and tear of all our organs. Thus, good sleep contributes to good health, good immunity, and longevity. Sleep also helps keep our mood good and stable and enables us to keep our attention and memory sharp. It gives us the necessary boost to start our day with energy and zeal. At the psychological level, it helps us to reaffirm that all of yesterday's worries are under control and all of today's challenges can be met, and we have hope that we will be in good shape for an even better tomorrow. But what happens when good sleep deserts us? As always, I'm going to share a few case studies with you to understand this better. Let's start with the case of Shobna. Now, Shobna, a woman in her late 20s, had a good job at a private firm. One fine day, she and her colleagues got to know that her company was to be merged with a bigger enterprise and that there may be considerable downsizing and a loss of jobs. Although a good worker, Shobna felt threatened. She began to get the gut feeling that she was sure to be fired. She kept thinking and overthinking about it day after day, and one night she lay down on her bed at the usual time but just could not go to sleep. She just kept imagining various scenarios about losing her job, running out of her savings, failing to pay the rent, so on and so forth. She failed to sleep that night and had a splitting headache in the morning. However, she went to work out of the fear of being sacked. And every night was the same pattern of catastrophic thinking and staying awake. She would fall asleep in the wee hours of the morning, nap erratically while traveling, and started looking weak and feeling ill with frequent bouts of cold. Now let's take a look at Vrinda's case. Vrinda was a middle aged woman with a grown daughter. One day, she broached the topic of a good marriage proposal with her daughter, to which her daughter replied that she had no interest in getting married. She wanted to make a name for herself and travel the world. Now, this came as a huge shock to Vrinda, who was fairly traditional in her outlook. And from that day, Vrinda's world had turned topsy turvy. Despite starting her day as early as 5 a.m. to cook and pack meals for the family and working hard through the day, Vrinda just could not sleep at night. She kept looking at the time in her phone and feeling more and more anxious. She kept tossing and turning in her bed while her husband slept calmly beside her. She could hear the rattling of the fan, the dogs barking at a distance, the second hand of the wall clock ticking. What could she do in the middle of the night? She kept sitting up, drinking water, going to the washroom. It was an endless cycle, and she felt like she would lose her mind. Now comes Madan's case. Now, Madan had a lot of work pressure. He confided in his colleague that he was finding it hard to deal with it. His colleague suggested that Madan should try to have a peg of whiskey to help him feel in control. And when he tried it initially, Madan actually felt good and also got good sleep. However, after a couple of months, one peg would just not do the job. Madan was wide awake despite his nightly ritual. So he tried 2 pegs, which became 3 and then 4. And the process continued until he lost complete control over his drinking. There was no chance of him getting even a wink of sleep if he did not drink heavily. In fact, he would feel very restless and shake severely on trying to abstain. He felt as if he was in a deep rut but could not find his way out. And now comes Ronak's predicament. One time, Ronak went to attend an outstation wedding where he was put up in a dormitory with 4 other male guests. Some of them were snoring so loudly that Ronak could not sleep. It was such a traumatic experience for him that even after returning home, the fear of not being able to fall asleep haunted him. By evening, only one question plagued his mind. What if I'm not able to sleep today? Instead of watching the television or chatting with his family members, he would keep to himself and pace around the house. He experienced a pounding in his chest and sweating, and his mouth was often dry. He started shouting at his family members if they failed to maintain absolute silence, and even quarreled with a neighbor who was playing some music at 10 p.m. The whole day he was preoccupied with the fear of not being able to sleep. So while individual sleep problems like these can be unique, some others are actually very common and observed among certain populations or age groups. Take, for example, the cases of Richard, Megha, Pratyush, and Sesha, all college-going young students. They love the internet, which is available at high speeds during the late hours of the night. So there they are fighting sleep to stare at the screen, binge-watching series, chatting endlessly with their friends, or mindlessly scrolling away. Then they wake up when the sun is high in the sky, feeling devoid of motivation, grumpy, and late for college or work. Now, sleep can be disturbed for an n number of reasons. Some are under our control, while some others are not. Excessive exposure to light or noise, disturbance in our inner body clock as in a jet lag or shift duties, medical ailments and painful conditions, psychiatric disorders, stress and worries, addictions to caffeine, alcohol, nicotine, marijuana, and the internet, or environmental nuisances like a bumpy mattress, bugs, a very hot and stuffy room, or a cold one can ruin our sleep. But never fear, because Dr. Happy is here. Sorry, I tend to get a little cheesy sometimes, but I also bring the solutions, don't I? So let me start with some basic sleep hygiene measures that everyone can and must follow. It cannot be incorporated suddenly because that would be very drastic. However, baby steps in the right direction could soon have you sleeping like a baby. Point 1. Your body has an inner clock. Acknowledge and respect it. Wake up at a fixed time daily. Now, let's assume that you're waking up at 11 a.m. daily. And And that, my friend, is late by everyone's standards. And if you want to fix it, try pushing the timing back by 15 minutes every 15 days till you're waking up at 7 a.m. in the morning. Point 2. Have something exciting to do after waking up so that you feel like getting out of bed. Once out, splash loads of water on your face and wash out the residual sleep and make your bed immediately to prevent yourself from snuggling again. Point 3. Avoid daytime naps and try to get most of your sleep during the night time itself. Point 4. The fear of not being able to sleep is huge. So don't spend your evenings obsessing over whether you will or will not be able to sleep. Spend time in activities that give you joy and relax your mind. Point 5. Teach your body that it is now time to retire for the day. You could stop using your gadgets or switch off the television. You could dim the lights and make the room cool and comfortable. You could follow the same ritual every night of changing into your bedclothes, brushing your teeth, moisturizing your skin, and massaging your scalp, followed by deep breathing so that your body knows it is time to sleep. Point 6. If you're unable to sleep, it is likely to cause anxiety. And this anxiety worsens with every minute that you lie awake in bed. So try getting out of bed, step away, and read a book you don't really like. And once you find yourself yawning, come back to bed. Point 7. Now it is best to avoid all substances of abuse, but definitely avoid them around bedtime. Limit your caffeine intake in the later half of the day. The internet is also highly habit-forming. But your sleep is more important than browsing the net, so give it priority and get the sleep you deserve. Point 8. Investing in a good mattress and blanket, a noiseless fan or air conditioner, and earmuffs may help. Point 9. You could try getting some good exercise in the daytime, as a healthy body weight promotes better sleep. You could have an early and light dinner so that you don't feel stuffed and bloated. Point 10. You could get yourself checked and treated if you suffer from any ailments, especially those that make you want to visit the washroom often. You could discuss with your physician if any medication is interfering with your sleep. Psychiatric disorders are very common causes of sleep disturbances, so don't hesitate to try treatment and therapy for them. Point 11. Overthinking is one of the biggest causes of not being able to sleep. It is as if all the thoughts in the world come crashing down upon you like a ton of bricks each time you try to sleep. So, seeking therapy for controlling unhelpful and unwanted thoughts could go a long way in resolving this issue. And lastly, point 12. Some people find that taking a warm bath, drinking warm milk, or special flavors of green tea, using scented oils, playing soft and slow music or white noise helps them to fall asleep. However, this is not applicable to everyone. So I suggest you do a bit of trial and error to figure out what works best for you. Sleep is a state like no other. The Dalai Lama calls it the best meditation. Sleep is sweet relief. It is a welcome break from all our labor and efforts. It is a transition between our past and our future. It is little wonder that Mahatma Gandhi said, "When I wake up, I am reborn." On that note, I wish all our listeners the best sleep every night on behalf of the Dr. Happy team. It's been a great pleasure talking to you this season, and we hope to be back with another one soon. Do keep writing with any feedback, comments, suggestions, and requests at drhappy2021@gmail.com. That is doctorhappy2021@gmail.com. And follow us on our social media channels. Until the next time, be good to yourself and be happy.